Here to give us the inside look at the rise and fall of the most popular female group of all time, former Supreme Mary Wilson on Twin Cities Live. What can you say? I just want to hear, stand up here with me. I get it. Is she one incredible looking lady or what?
No, I can't say my wife said me. I can't say that.
Is she one incredible looking lady?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you. I guess maybe I'm in that age group. But I tell you, some of my fondest memories back in high school, after football practice, all the boys getting together and listening to the Motown records and the Supremes.
Yeah.
And one of the worst moments in my life is when the Supremes broke up.
Oh, for me too.
And
actually.
I still, to this day, have not figured out why.
Well, I think that's why I wrote my book, Dreamgirl, to sort of give it a little insight onto the personalities of the Supremes and perhaps why three girls who kind of grew up together suddenly just were no longer together. It's actually, you said Cinderella story, and that's very, very true. I think a lot of us in our lives, we sit around and we dream about becoming something really famous or important or wonderful. And for the Supremes, we did that too. But we also were able to make those dreams come true. And I thought by sharing my story with everyone, that could give them hope and to seeing that dreams do come true.
You shared some things that, quite frankly, I think will shatter a lot of people's image.
Who?
Of me, I'll admit it, of Diana Ross.
Oh, you
Throughout
think so?
this book, let's call it, she did not come off as a very nice person. I mean, she was egotistical, she was power hungry, she was constantly causing trouble within the group. She was not exactly a source of great delight for you many times throughout the years of the Supremes.
Shall I wait till you're through? You know, it's amazing how people sort of want me to really dislike Diane or to feel bitter about the way she is, the way she was. I shared that story with everyone because I love her, and I love her in spite of herself, because of herself. I think it's possible to know people, and perhaps you guys have someone in your family that you love, but I mean, boy, you just cannot stand and talk to them on it. You know, it's like, wow, why do they have to act like that? But there still is a love there. And in my book, I show how, yes, Diane was very aggressive, and she was a tomboy. She was the kind of girl that in the Brewster projects, we'd all be playing around, and she'd race with the boys, and she would beat them. I mean, she would beat them, and I'd just stand back, and I'd admire that. I think in our own way, when people become famous, you do admire them, but then when you get a chance to look at them as real people, you say, well, shoot, you know, I don't know if I know if I like her, but you do like what they have achieved. And I think because of her way, because of her aggressiveness, that's why she made herself into this huge star.
You mentioned the Brewster Projects in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
You and Diane, I was surprised.
Well, can you call her Diane? Do you know her that well?
No, how many people knew that Diane was called Diane until one interview? How many people knew that? It wasn't Diana. One day that just came out of the blue sky, didn't it?
I wrote about that in the book because it was strange for us knowing her as Diane, and then we're in London, I think it was, and we were having this wonderful interview, and the interviewer said something to Diane. She said, well, oh, no, my name is Diana, and so Florence and I looked at each other like, oh, it is? You know? But she kind of threw this on us out in public, so we didn't have enough chance to find out, you know, where this came from. But in my research for the book, and I did a lot of researching, I found that her name was Diana on the birth certificate. And one day, of course, she found this out and said, oh, I don't have to change my name. It's already there, and let me use it. But it was just sort of the way that it was sprung on us that we were very sort of surprised.
When you started out pursuing your dream, you were little girls.
Well, yes, we were 13 years
you
old.
were young, youngsters.
Mm-hmm.
Describe for me the personality of Mary Wilson at that time and the other members of the original group, which was called the...
I'm sorry, the Primettes, you mean? Yes, the Primettes. We were 4 girls, and we started at the age of 13 years old. There was a talent show at our elementary school, and on the bulletin board it says, if you want to join this talent show, sign up. And so I signed up. I don't know why. I had seen Frankie Lyman and the teenagers on, I think it was the Ed Sullivan Show of Shows or something like that. And so I said, oh, I think I'd like to be on that talent show. And I put on my brother's black leather jacket and his do-rag, because all the black guys in those days were wearing processors, so they wore these scarves so the grease wouldn't drip down. And I put a comb in my back pocket and these real tight, tight pants. And I went out there and I did some gyrations and I did this song up, and it was just beautiful. And also on the show was Florence. Florence was singing, "Oh, now, we were living in the projects, right?
We just lost our audio engineer on that one, I'll tell you.
Well, we were living in the projects, and this girl with this magnificent voice, 13 years old, singing this song. I went over to her and I said, Florence, I didn't call her Flo then. Florence, you have a wonderful, beautiful voice, and she said, you were really great out there. Everyone's forming these groups now. And if anyone wants to form a group, let's, remember each other. And sure enough, someone asked her if she wanted to join a group. That's how she said, and my friend Mary, she can sing. Diane lived across the street. The guys went over there and said, we heard that, you can sing. Would you like to sing with this group? And she said, yes. That's more or less how we started. But that didn't answer your question, right? How the personalities, what I was like. I was in the projects with gang leaders and, all kind of really rough people, and I was still very, not shy, but very sort of cute, and I guess you could say I was a little stuck on myself, very, very shy, very, very nice. I was a very nice young girl, I think.
I was curious, do you have any contact with Diana Ross at all right now? And did she have any comments on your book?
On the book. To be very, very honest with you, right now, there is not a relationship between Diane and I. There has not been one between the two of us for a long time. And I think that had a lot to do with sort of the things that happened back in 1967 when Florence left and Diane was moving out front to become a star. We really kind of lost our relationship there. I don't think that we lost the love that we feel for each other. I do know that very soon I would like to call her up and say, hey girl, what's going on? Let's talk. Can we talk, And I'm sure that after the two of us get together and decide that we want to really make this relationship work again, it will happen, because I believe once you love someone, you never stop loving them. You might start disliking them, but I think the love is sort of always there.
Mary, one thing that struck me throughout your book and throughout your career, it seemed like every time the girls achieved something, there was a little bit of a step back also. There were always things that were happening, even from the earliest part of the career when suddenly Flo disappeared for weeks.
That was, we were, of course, singing at that time. Florence was 16, Diane and I were, I think, 15 and a half. And it just so happened that we always got together and we were doing these record hops and sock hops. I'm sure some of the old teenagers out there remember those days. And it was after one of these shows that Florence accepted a ride home from a guy that we knew in the neighborhood. And, it was nothing wrong with that. And she said, well, at least I won't have to catch the bus, so I'll accept this ride. Well, she was raped by this young man. And it was, I guess, maybe about 3 or 4 weeks before we heard from her. And of course, we continued to call her house, and her mom would say, well, Florence doesn't want to talk to you guys. And we couldn't understand why, why doesn't our friend want to talk to us? So finally, Florence did call, and she said, I want to talk to you all and tell you, what has happened. And we got together, and she sat there and she told us this horrible, horrible story. And of course, we're young, we're virgins. We don't know much about sex. except what you know, what you kind of talk about in the locker room and things like that. And when Florence told us the story, I could see in her some sort of fear that I couldn't even understand. It was like, how can someone do that to a person? And she kept saying, well, why did he do that? He was a friend of mine. And I think that was one of the main things that put Florence, it took away her happiness. I don't think I ever saw her again as a happy person that she was. So when we became popular, you know, Diana and I really thought that everything was okay because we were rich now, we were famous, and Florence was laughing again, but she still wasn't Flo. She wasn't the happy Flo. And I think that was the beginning of our problems.
We'll take a short break. We'll talk more about some of the problems and some of the tremendous success that the Supremes enjoyed for such a long, long time when we continue on Twin Cities Live.
Hello, I'm Stan Turner.
And I'm Ruth Spencer, and today on Eyewitness News, Mounds View will go to court to prevent the Williams pipeline from being reopened. And we'll have a report on the first day of the proceedings.
And on the heels of yesterday's artificial heart transplant, some people are questioning Minnesota's organ donor law. And a one-time homeless person speaks out.
So please join us for all the day's news on Channel 5.
When you get a cold or an allergy,
you need some herbal tea.
You also get a lot of advice.
What you want to do is feed a cold.
A lot of advice.
Take Judy to call me in the morning.
But the best advice is what doctors have said millions of times. Take Dimetap. Dimetap in non-prescription formulas brings proven relief. So take the advice of doctors and pharmacists.
The tea works. Huh?
And take Dimetap, the best advice you can take.
Are there cranberries this year?
Of course.
And potatoes?
Yes. With gravy.
And will there be...
Naturally.
Nothing can ever replace a real fresh turkey from Genio. Fresh, natural Genio turkey. Grown right here in Minnesota.
Save room for the pumpkin pill.
Most horoscopes give general help to everyone born under your sign. Now, with the aid of advanced technology, I can give you a personal horoscope, a roadmap for life with a daily phone call.
Just 95 cents per call. 1-976-3333 from a touch-tone phone.
Every day, you'll hear my special message for you about love, money, and health. Your roadmap for the future. Call 976-3333. Call me now.
I'll tell you, you just cannot listen to that music and not want to sing it and move at the same time. Am I not correct? I mean, that's something about that sound that was so special in Motown. And of course, the biggest part of Motown, you know, were the Supremes. Why did they become the figurehead almost of that entire incredible success story?
Well, you know, there was a time when we were called the No-Hit Supremes by the Marvelettes, the Vandellas, the Temptations, and it was because we recorded about 11 records that were flops. And there were people like...
Give us the name of one of the records you recorded that you consider a flop.
Well, Buttered Popcorn, Let Me Go the Right Way, Your Heart Belongs to Me. Oh, there were a whole slew of them. When the Love Light Shines Through His Eyes. We recorded records just every day we were recording. And it got to a point where everyone else had hit records. Everyone else had hit records. Holland Dozier Holland brought us these 3 songs and said, we want you to record these songs. And they were Where Did Our Love Go, Baby Love, and Stop. Now, after Martha and the Vandellas had their hit records, we really wanted something soulful. And because we were not soulful singers, we had to look for the music to be soulful. And so I told Eddie Holland, I said, Eddie, we want a hit record. You know, we want something like the Vandellas have. You know, and he said, oh, trust me, these records are going to be hits.
You did not want to record these
We did not
songs.
want to record them. In fact, I cried. Well, I'm a big crybaby anyway. I cry at anything. But he said, just trust me, they will become hits. And we had to record them because, hey, what else could we do? Thank God we did. And anyway, Barry told me afterwards, he said, see, you cannot pick hit records, so you just sing and I'll pick the records. And so I did.
You were a pet project of Barry. I mean, he really put a lot of things aside at one particular point of the Supreme's career and really focused in on you.
Well, don't give him too much credit now, because, you see, Barry Gordy turned us down at first. I mean, he said, when we first went to him and asked him to record us, he said, you girls are too young for me. I mean, you know, when you finish high school, come back and see me. And so instead of doing that, we started hitchhiking to Motown every day. And we sat on the steps, we sat in the lobby, we sat in a control room, and pretty soon we became his pets because we made him like us. I mean, it wasn't that he said, oh, I like you guys, I'm going to make you stars. We actually never underestimate women, especially in 4s or 3s. So, you know, what I'm saying is that really we kind of pursued him and made him like us. And after a while he said to Holland Dozier Holland, let's try to get these girls some hits because they really are into this.
How much did, maybe it was kind of a two-sided deal here, that you were so successful that Barry was involved in you, but also there was a lot of discontent that came out of that because Barry was also involved with Diana.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of were on the top of a fence there for a little bit.
Well, you know, one day Diane came to the room and she says, I'm going to get him. And so I'm looking around trying to figure out...
He was married at the time, wasn't he?
Was he? Anyway,
Yes, he was married at the time.
I didn't write about that in my book. So when she said she was going to get him, I looked around to see who she was talking about because, you know, Marvin Gaye is there, you know, and all these handsome guys. I'm thinking, well, maybe it's one of them guys, which is fine with me. But when she said Barry, it's like, why would she want him? You know, this is an older man. And I'm saying, I was very naive. I didn't know he was a boss, and that was the thing to do. But eventually she started dating him, and I, you know, I had to give it to her, you know, because that was pretty good for a young girl to say, I'm going to get him, and she got him. And actually it helped us tremendously. We were very happy she was dating Barry because now we got what we wanted. You know, if you're there with Martha and the Vandellas, the Marvelettes, and all these other groups, and it depends on who is in Barry's favor, whoever gets the record released, and you say that one girl is dating him, we got our records released. And so in the beginning, it was to our favor.
Well, you were so popular, I was wondering, why did you happen to break the group up?
Well, first of all, Florence left in 1967. Diane left in 1970.
Was Flo fired? I hate to interrupt you, but I'm sure everybody's thinking, was she fired?
I have refused to actually answer that in like words, in a couple of words, because I think there were a lot of things leading up to that. So I would ask people to really try to get that one from the book, because I don't want to put the blame on any one person. I don't think any one person is to blame. I think a lot of people are to blame. Florence herself as well as other people. So I'd like not to answer that if you know, I'm not skating. I just would rather not to. I was talking about, Diane left in 1970, and I kept the group going until 1977. I wanted the Supremes to go on forever. As I think most young people, when you're into something good, if it's a marriage, if it's a job, if it's whatever it is, you want it to go on. You don't want it to end. You know it's not going to end. But then after we were not receiving support from Motown Records in the 70s, we were putting out records like, I don't know, you guys probably know them. What were some of the records we put out in the 70s?
Stone Love.
Stone Love. Bad Weather. Up the Ladder. Floyd Joy, Nathan Jones. All of these. Now, I say that for a point, that we had records that sold up in the millions in the 70s, but most people didn't know about it. We did not receive the...
You were not a priority of Motown.
That's correct, and we did not receive the support.
Who was the priority at that time?
Well, first of all,
Who was
are
the
you
priority?
Jones' brother? Are you Jones' brother? No.
I'm just saying.
Well, you know, what you're implying is very true. Motown at that time in the 70s changed their policies tremendously. They went from being a record company into being a movie production company, more or less. And everything was, all of the, everyone was into the records, into Diane, into not the Supremes. And I decided in 1977, I love doing what I'm doing. I know that people love the Supremes, and I do too, but I have been with this ship for a long time, and I'm not the kind of person to go down with the ship if I realize I'm going to die. And I just didn't want to do that, so I had to eventually end the group.
You're tremendously talented. Flo had an incredible voice. How did you react when the first situation started to happen where Diana started to take control and suddenly you were starting to be pushed into the background, and it was the same man that was your big supporter, Barry Gordy, who put Diana out front and put Mary Wilson and Flo in the back?
That was, first of all, Barry came to us and said, after we had the 11 flops, he said to us, I feel that Diane has a more commercial voice. Now, all three of us, yes, were singing. And as I mentioned earlier, Florence had a tremendous voice. And for those of you who saw Dreamgirls or who know of Jennifer Holliday, Florence had a voice very much like Jennifer's. And when someone tells you that you cannot sing any longer and you can only do oohs or baby babies and you have all of this talent, it's like taking your heart away from you. So what happened was we were very unhappy that this went on, but we were not against Diane having the leads. It's just eventually we realized we no longer could sing. It wasn't that we didn't want Diane to sing, it's just we wanted to share in these leads like the Pointer Sisters are doing today. And we had that kind of group that could happen. So it wasn't something that happened immediately. This was a gradual feeling that after maybe about 2 years we said, now wait a minute, can we sing some songs? You know what I mean? Can I sing one on an album? And I managed to have some songs on an album, but only because I was persistent enough to go and tell the producers, I want to sing a song. So every now and then I would have one. Flo had, I believe, only one lead on all of the albums.
Do you keep in touch basically with the friends you made at Motown, say, you know, Stevie? Do you still have those ties?
Oh, yes.
This was an incredible group. When you go through this book, the people that you were hanging around with, I mean,
can you imagine?
They all became famous.
I mean, when I think about it, I was in awe then, I'm in awe now, to be very honest with you.
Just a few of the names for those who don't know. Some of the names of the people you were just hanging around on the porch at
Well, I think
Motown.
the best way to bring that up is the Motown 25th reunion. And most of us saw that program. I mean, to me, that was fabulous. It was like 25 years of what we have been listening to, the music. Now, there was like Marvin Gaye, and I'm so very happy that he was on that show because that was really the last time we all as a public had a chance to really see this man. And this man was tremendous. We used to sit at Motown in the lobby there and watch Marvin Gaye play piano, and he would sit there with his little hat on and just play, and we sit around and say, oh.
And all of you had a crush on him, didn't you? Yeah.
I mean, it was like the guy was tremendous. I mean, really. In fact, I had spoken to him about perhaps playing or portraying the Nat King Cole story, and this was something he and I were talking about because I just thought he was just tremendously talented. Also, of course, the Temptations, Martha and the Vandellas, as I have mentioned. Stevie Wonder, I remember him the first time he came to Motown at the age of 9 and could play every instrument in there. It was just amazing to see this little kid. And what he would do is he'd run up and down the steps and bump into all the girls and then pinch them on their behinds and do all the hooks. And we say, is this kid really blind? You know?
Much more with Mary Wilson. I have to take a short break. We'll be right back with Mary Wilson, one of the original Supremes.
How come Dunkin' Donuts are so fresh all the time? Because at Dunkin' Donuts, we make donuts all the time.
You've heard about glasses fast, glasses right. At the Eyeworks, fast means just a few hours. And right starts right here with a total eye exam from an eyeworks doctor of optometry. And ultra-fast service from our own lens lab. For the right look, choose from over 4,000 frames. Or choose from our contact lens center for a look that's all you. Get your glasses fast, glasses right. At the eyeworks, the eye care superstore. Call for an exam or bring us your prescription.
Somebody have any change?
Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
Hello, I'm looking for some lightweight, soft-sided luggage.
May I point out features that should be checked carefully, like the zipper, the handle?
Very sturdy.
Now look at the construction. Of course, the wheel should operate smoothly.
I'll take the Samsonite.
Excellent.
Or just look for this feature, and you'll be assured it has all the others.
Now save 30 to 50% on Samsonite luggage at Pedro of St. Paul.
The best hour of your day just keeps getting better and better.
Would you please welcome Joan Collins, Frank Sinatra, Doris Day.
Hour keeps you healthy, fit, and feeling good. Hour magazine. It just keeps getting better and better. Find it weekdays at 11.
You think that I don't feel love, but what I feel for you is real love. In those eyes I see reflected, I hurt, scorned, rejected, love child. Never meant to be, love child. Born in poverty,
Woo! Now that was a great song. Everybody remembers Love Child, right? Great background vocals there by Mary Wilson. Incredible, right? Wrong. You did not sing on that record.
No, and you know, it's amazing because whenever I listen to it, it sounds like it's me on there. That was after Florence left. Florence's last recording with us was The Happening. And after that time, of course, HDH, Holland Dozier Holland, left Motown. And Motown was scrambling trying to get us a hit because, you know, we were used to having hits to every record that was released. And I was very sad because Florence was no longer in the group. And I had spent the last, I don't know how many months rehearsing with Cindy, getting her ready. I was very tired. And I was not only very tired, but very unhappy. And I went to Barry and I said, Barry, I need to have a vacation. I'd like to, you know, take some time off. He said, you can't take any time off now because we're going to work on this new record and, you know, we need to get a new record and we got everybody here working on it. Diane's here working, she and I working day and night, you know, and we're going to come up with this hit record. I said, listen, I really need I need a rest. And so he, you know, I said, I'm going on vacation anyway. So I left. And when I came back, the record was recorded, and of course it was Love Child. I was very, very upset about that. And in many ways I said, well, maybe it was my fault that I wasn't on the record, but I still think that they could have waited and put my background vocals on it when I returned from my vacation. I was only gone for 2 weeks, okay? But then, what can you say?
Another record, and I had no idea about this. Someday We'll Be Together, sort of the, you know, the last of the golden era of the Supremes.
Exactly.
And you did not sing on the record.
And you know, that record was really intended for Diane. That was to be her first solo single.
Was it true at one point that Barry sort of gave the impression to you, and I believe it was Cindy at that particular time, that, hey girls, you know, Diana is the star now, and we can bring other people in to sing your part?
Now I'm writing a sequel.
To the book?
Yes. Would I leave you hanging on, right?
Now, but is this what what was happening?
Now, the sequel will entail the era of when Diane left, and how, yes, that was definitely the consensus that was going around, which hurt me tremendously. In fact, well, I don't want to get too much into it and give too much away, but just to tease you a little bit. There was a dispute over the name Supremes back then, and it's still going on now. And I told one of the heads at Motown that, you know, I wasn't happy that we were not receiving support. And he says, well, that's okay. We can get, you know, some other girls and, you know, make up the Supremes. I said, you just try. And I walked out at that time. So the sequel will have a lot about that type of situation. With Cindy and I, you see, was different because Diane was to leave in 1970. They did not want us to leave before Diane did, because if that happened...
I was going to make her look bad.
No, not only that, how could she have a farewell if we've already left her?
And far be it from that time, because
Now,
then Diana was everything. Motown wasn't going to mess up anything that had to do with Diana.
But you see, I didn't realize that then. I really felt that I had to just do everything they said. Had I really realized what kind of position I was in, I could have, you know, maybe put my foot down a little bit. What was that?
What's the status of Florence Ballard's family, or, you know, how were they? You spoke of her family being really close-knit family. And
it's a very, her family was always very, very close. Her mother, well, there were like 12 children living, and so many had already died. She had a huge family. They were, when we were growing up, they were very, very close. I mean, it's like the sisters would bring their children over, and this house was filled with about 50, you know, children. It was really a wonderful kind of environment to go into. After Florence died in '76, her mother passed away also. And I don't know if the family is as close, because the mother was more or less the nucleus, and that everyone sort of came to. Also after that, Florence's husband died. And now the children, the 3 children that Florence had, are living with her younger sister, Linda, who is about, I think she's in her late 20s or early 30s. And it's just so, I feel that the girls, Florence's girls, just have not had a very happy time. Everybody is, I mean, their mother, their father died, I mean, just everybody. I feel that it's a shame that that would have to happen.
Mary, how could one of the Supremes, Florence, die in such poverty, and another one of the Supremes have immense wealth? There was such a tremendous difference between the two.
In my experiences with the Supremes, that was always the situation where you had 2 very strong people. And as you did there, you left me out. I was always in the middle of these 2 very wonderful people, but totally opposite. I mean, they were totally opposite. Whereas Diane went on to achieve such greatness, I think people tend to think that she was the only ambitious one. I think that all of us, in a way, won, because Diane went on to win greatness. Flo, in her own way, couldn't stand for things to be wrong. She had the way of looking at life. I think a lot of people look at it like this: if it can't be my way, if it can't be all good, then I just cannot have anything to do with it at all.
Okay. Throughout the years that the Supremes was with Motown, it's no secret that you earned untold millions for Motown.
Yes.
And just recently on another show, you mentioned that, or you said that you earned 3%. Now, was that 3% for the entire group, or was that 3% for each individual?
Let me hold you right there, Mary, before we get into this, because this is a little bit of an involved story. I've got to take a short break, and we'll be back, and we'll find out about how much money the Supremes made for Motown and how much money the Supremes made themselves right after this.
Nobody puts more fun in a nugget than Banquet Hot Bites. Yeah. Nobody puts more fun in a nugget and makes them taste so right. Like chicken and cheddar, who could do better? We've got the chicken with that cheesy kickin'. Nobody makes a mozzarella nugget like Banquet Hot Bites. You'll be down on your knees for one taste of that cheese spicy chicken we've got for someone like it hot. Nobody puts more fun in a nugget than Banquet Hot Bites.
Patient dining table. Diagnosis, worn finish, no shine. Treatment, facelift.
Now there's a facelift for furniture. New form-based facelift, my secret for bringing dull furniture back to life. Facelift revives the shine without refinishing. In less than an hour, you can smooth away the wear and tear and lay down a bright new facelift finish that will shine for years to come. That's what form-based facelift is all about. Making your furniture look alive and beautiful again without major surgery.
All these baby wipes show happy, smiling babies, but behind those smiles, there's methylparaben, SD alcohol 40, cocoa amphocarboxyglycinate. Now there's a baby wipe with no alcohol and only natural ingredients. Purified water, aloe vera, citric and sorbic acids, plus a mild fragrance. New natural touch. Because only one smiling face really matters. New natural touch baby washcloths.
Enter a world of excitement, where fantasy comes to life, where the stakes are high and secrets lie for your entertainment tonight. Enter a world of excitement, enter the world of entertainment tonight.
Find Entertainment Tonight weeknights at 11:05.
See, they didn't have the, they didn't have the mic on. We could have heard you singing that one. That was pretty good. You did well. It was good. I don't want to be too negative because I keep trying to bring out all these things, but
that's okay. I'll bring up the positive side
if
later.
you read the book, the Supremes, how should I say this? I don't want to say got ripped off, but I mean, Motown, you
Strike that from the court.
You made millions and millions of dollars for Motown, and I want you to tell the people the percentage, what you got out of it.
Okay, first of all, every time I go past Motown building in L.A., I count all the bricks that are mine. Should be mine. And I'm only serious about that. When we signed our original contract, we read on there 3% that we were receiving. And this was fantastic. Now, years later, I found out that it was not 3% for each individual, but it was 3% in case one of us sang solo. However, if it was a group situation, which we were from the very beginning, we were to split 3%.
It's a little different story.
That's a big difference.
You didn't have a lawyer or anything when you signed
Oh,
these
yes,
contracts.
we did have a lawyer. Yes, we most certainly did have a lawyer.
Where was the lawyer from?
Motown.
Oh, how convenient.
Now, you know, it's amazing because we were making a lot of money, and we spent a lot of money. It wasn't that, you know, they ripped us off and we got nothing. We did get a lot of money, but the monies that we were supposed to get, because our percentages were so small, it wasn't, you said that we made millions. Well, we did make millions, but we did not receive millions.
Millions, but not for you.
Yes, right.
You know, the one thing that was so great about the Supremes, they were so smooth. They had such a smooth, sophisticated image, right? You know, they totally came up with that on their own. Well, maybe not all of that, because you had some help from some people at Motown. And I just met a very young lady just a moment ago who was there and really taught the Supremes a lot of the moves and how to be ladies. I'm talking about Mrs. Maxine Powell.
She's not here, is she?
She is here tonight. She's with us today. Here she is. Maxine?
You did, really?
How are you? Let me help you. How are you? Let me help you right up here. Be careful.
Oh, hello.
Again and again and again.
Hi, Mrs. Powell. Looking good, looking good.
Now, I need to explain something here.
I can't believe this. That's wonderful. No, are you kidding? You know, I think this is so great because that's one of the reasons that I wanted to write my book the way I wanted to write it. I was turned down by almost every publishing house in New York because of the type of story I wanted to tell. I wanted to tell about the people there, not about the, you know, what it became and all those. I wanted everyone to get to know the Mrs. Powells, get to know the Charlie Atkins, get to know, you know, the HDH. And that's what I accomplished. And it's so nice to see that this woman, Mrs. Powell, is now being recognized as something that she did that was tremendous, that we have all been looking at for years. And now you know the person.
Well, let's talk about what she did.
I wanted to say just one thing before we go any further. Because I was sitting up here a minute ago, and my skirt was sort of like open, and I was saying to myself, how am I going to cross my legs so that this looks neat? Thinking of Mrs. Powell. So when you said that, I was like, oh, God, now she's here. She saw that I didn't do it correctly.
Yes, you did.
I kept on doing like this, you know, doing, how do I do this?
You were such family in Motown. And Mrs. Powell, can you tell us, it was almost like a throwback to the old movie studios, because Motown started escapes me the name of the department.
Artist Development.
Artist Development. Now, what was Artist Development, and what did you do for the Supremes?
Well, artist development, we did just what the name said. Each artist was different. And, you know, I thought of them like attending, going to a florist. And every flower at the florist, as you know, regardless of the price, the color, the size, or the shape, it has something to offer. And this is what I thought. I named the artist development, and that's just what we did. Each person was different.
When you took the Supremes, you wanted to mold them to where they could go anywhere in the world, be accepted and be proper and have the etiquette needed.
Yes. Well, when we were sitting around in a group, when we first opened the finishing school, I said to all of the artists, there was many sitting around, that the one thing that I'm going to offer you is class. Class will turn the heads of kings and queens. I said, maybe you're not the greatest singers in the world. My race has been singing and dancing all of their life. But you're going to be a great performer, and that's the greatest of them all.
Let me ask Mary. Mary, would you stand up, please, for me, and stand as if you were going to have your picture taken?
Oh, oh my God! Now see, she might grade me.
Oh.
Well,
you're just
I think in one of the photographs in the book we were standing with the Duke and Duchess of Bedford in the castle there, and
now notice the legs. Notice how she's standing.
I hope I'm doing it.
Yeah, we have some pictures. Can we pop those up now? And I want you to look at the Supremes.
Uh-oh.
And now look at this. Look at the legs.
Oh, yes, that's it.
Perfect,
That's
Mrs. Powell.
called the basic standing position.
That's right. That's right.
The basic standing position. And you have to develop that, and it becomes a habit.
I noticed those. People don't know this. That was Smokey Robertson's legs in the middle. He was standing the same way. I mean, did he?
What is the difference? You know, we start from body language. That's where we start from. If you have corrective body language, it tells a story about you the minute you enter a room or whatever. And then we go into words. Your words are a vital part of your personality. They represent a picture of your mind.
How are Mary's words tonight? Is she doing all right tonight?
Oh, Mary is just terrific. So many said, what did you think? What did you think you could do to these young ladies? I saw them as diamonds in the rough. And they were just young at that time. But just look at her age now, what a beautiful age, and how poised and how graceful. I said, you're going to appear before kings and queens. And at that time, they said, that woman must be crazy. All we want is a hit record.
We didn't
So all we want is a hit record.
That's right.
No, I was wondering if she had any idea that they would turn out to be as big as they did.
Yes, because this is the type of person I am. I teach personal self-growth, whether you're saying and personal development. And anyone under my guiding is going to the top. And then you
show
have
me how to stand? I mean, am I standing correct tonight?
Yeah. Well, may I just say this? Anyone can learn. If you stand with your feet apart, you have a tendency to lean forward, and the buttocks protrude. And so you get this kind of look, see. But the minute you bring the left foot forward and turn it to the left, it changes your whole position, and the hip bones are forward, and your ears are even with your shoulder line, and you just look good.
You know, you mentioned about Smokey Robinson and how he was standing. Mrs. Powell taught the guys as well as the girls. I mean, the Temptations, the Tops, and all of them. They all went to Mrs.
Did you
Powell.
teach them how to dance, too?
No, I would correct, say, like the shake. You remember that?
Yeah.
What was the shake?
There was a dance called the shake. And the girls were doing the shake. And I said, what are you doing? And Flo said, well, Miss Powell, this is a new dance, and we're doing the shake. I know you don't know about it. I said, yes, I know about it.
Could you show us at all, or?
Mary, let's show.
Oh, no.
Yes, come on, Mary.
Okay,
you need some music?
You should finish your story, and then I'll do it the way Flo said we were doing. You can correct me.
Okay.
She does it much
right.
better than I do. I'll do it the wrong and incorrect way.
Okay. Do we have any music?
This one, we record Sam Cooke's Shake. Come on, everybody, shake. That's the way you do it, shake. You know, you know, just going to town. We were just going to town. Mr. Powell says, wait just a minute, what are you girls doing?
So that was the wrong way.
Well, that was sort of like, not wrong, but you know, it's like wild, and it's, you know, it's sort of like all over the
But
place.
it wasn't refined enough for
No,
that.
well, they were like, shake, like a little tough. Shake. Shake. I said, now that's beautiful, but it's a naughty step. And I said, whenever you do a naughty step, smile about it, and then come out of it and do a Fred Astaire, such as shake, 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 shake.
And we'll be right back after this. We're coming right back. Don't go away.
Why do some children fail where others succeed? The reasons can be as different as the children themselves. If your child's grades are falling, if he lacks motivation, or his progress in school is just not all it could be, Sylvan Learning Centers can help. Their proven techniques and experienced teachers have helped children of all ages master the basic reading and math skills it takes to do well in school. In fact, they guarantee that if your child doesn't advance at least one full grade level in reading or math with just 36 hours of instruction, they'll provide up to 12 additional hours absolutely free. The Sylvan approach begins with careful testing to pinpoint each student's particular problem area. Then, based on the results, a personalized program is specially created to help your child achieve his specific learning goals. And since no instructor ever works with more than 3 students at a time, Sylvan can provide the kind of intensive, one-to-one attention children need to make real headway. Best of all, the Sylvan system works because competition, stress, and fear of failure are replaced by patience, understanding, and positive rewards. At Sylvan, children really do learn. After just a few sessions, you'll start to see the results in your own child. Improved skills, better grades, plus a newfound feeling of confidence that comes with real progress. So if your child could benefit from Sylvan's proven approach to learning, call now for a free brochure that describes how Sylvan can achieve results you never thought possible. There are no contracts to sign, no long-term commitments to make. You can help your child to succeed at the skills so important in school and in life. Call toll-free
1-800-554-1700 to get complete information about Sylvan Learning Centers, where success begins with the basics. Act now. Call 1-800-554-1700. That's 1-800-554-1700.
with Mary Wilson, one of the original Supremes, and Mrs. Maxine Powell, who is one of the influential people in developing a lot of the talent that came out of Motown. And we've got loads of... This audience wants to get at you,
All right.
two lovely ladies. Go ahead.
It.
My question is to Mrs. Wilson.
Yes.
Miss Wilson, I wanted to know, I'm going back to the book now. I haven't read Dreamgirls, but it's been, you know, I've seen some articles in the magazines and things, and from the beginning of the show, you stated that you love Diana, and I wanted to know, how do you think, you know, as far as the book is going, how do you think Diana going to perceive this book, what's going to come out of it?
I would want her to really know that I love her very much, and that the same way that when she wanted to go out on her solo career, and it took about 2 or 3 years while she was still with the Supremes, I was there and I was supporting her, and I didn't really try to stop her from doing that on the Supremes' time. As a friend, I recognized, after I was hurt a little bit and sad that we had to break up, I recognized that she had to do what she had to do for herself. I was there for her. I would hope that in her reading my book, that she will feel the same way, that this is something I've written about us. I did not make it up. This is the story of what we were doing at the time. I just wrote down everything that happened. And I hope that she will understand that I, too, you know, must continue my life. And I was a Supreme, and I have every right to write the story. And I tried my best not to write it in a bitter manner, so that it could just be the story that happened. Now, if she's embarrassed about her life, then maybe that's, you know, that's her situation. But I love her regardless of things that are in the book.
Go ahead.
Miss Wilson, when you did Motown with Diana Ross, was there any tension between the two of you on stage?
When?
Motown. Motown 25.
The Motown reunion. To be quite frank with you, in the beginning, no. It was very... We had not spoken to each other. We were not really sort of prepared for this big reunion. But in my heart, there wasn't, and as far as I knew in hers, there wasn't. But I think Motown put us together for that Motown 25th. I don't think the two of us were really prepared for the bigness of it and what it would really mean to us. Being there on that stage, I think maybe something happened with us where it dawned on us, you know, we were not ready to be back together, and so we didn't really react in a friendly manner. So it's very difficult to say. There was no outwardly tension. There wasn't even, I think, anything in our minds or our hearts, but it's just, maybe it wasn't right. It wasn't the right time.
Got to take a quick break here. When we come back, I'm going to sneak you in, okay?
Okay.
I promise. We'll be right back with Twin Cities Live.
Come on in for our hamburger full meal deal. Only $1.69. Everything you want in a complete meal. A thick, juicy, tender home-style burger that looks, cooks, and tastes like homemade. Crisp, golden fries, your favorite soft drink, and a creamy, smooth 5-ounce Dairy Queen sundae. The hamburger full meal deal. Now only $1.69 at Dairy Queen.
Every winter day, a ritual takes place in homes. Bundling up kids to go outside. But no amount of bundling can stop the cold completely. That's why there's Malt-O-Meal hot cereal, double flavored with wheat and malt to taste great and help keep kids warm on the inside.
I think I need some more Malt-O-Meal.
Bundle up on the inside with Malt-O-Meal hot cereal.
No one feeds a family like Super Value. This week, bring home Swift Brown and Serve sausage. 8-ounce links or patties, just 79 cents. Super Value has half-gallon rounds of Kemp's Vanilla or New York Vanilla ice cream for $2.09. And 7 to 8-ounce banquet meat pies are on sale for $1.
No one feeds a family like Super Value.
Somebody give me an IV.
Are you on any medicine right now? No. Allergic?
Okay, where do you hurt, Joey?
There's a difference that only you can make for a better life.
your doctor prescribes something new, tell him what drugs you're taking now. Find out how to use medicine safely for a better life.
For a better life.
I'll tell you, we could do 2 hours on this. Dreamgirl, My Life is a Supreme by Mary Wilson. And she will be at the Walker Art Center bookstore tomorrow, signing books at 1:30, the Walker Art Center bookstore. Go ahead.
Mary, I'd like to know what you've been doing since '77. I know there was a marriage involved. Can you tell us anything about that?
I'm so happy you asked that.
Oh.
This is the 18th day of this 18th city that I've been on for the book tour. And it's amazing. I'm talking so much about the past that I've almost forgotten to talk about what I'm doing now. And I think the book has a lot to say in terms of what I have been doing. I have been touring around the world since 1964, exclusively around the world with my own band, with my 2 singers, since 1977. And, you know, I reached a point where here in the States I couldn't work any longer because after Diane left, the group lost its importance here in the States. And I had to go to Europe to work because people there sort of remembered you, and you didn't have to have a current record out or a current product to still be a star. I don't know, some of you may feel the way I do. I've always felt wonderful and special and that I was a star. Not necessarily a supreme, but in my own being, I felt good about myself. So in order for me to come back here and perform, I had to really get away and learn how to sing words. So touring around the world is what I've been doing, and I've been just asked to audition for 2 Broadway plays. So that's really wonderful. I've been studying acting and studying my singing and writing my books and really touring and getting my act together. Yes, what's that?
Hotel accommodations and dining provided by the Radisson University Hotel, 615 Washington Avenue Southeast on the University of Minnesota East Bank campus. Limousine service for the guests of Twin Cities Live, provided by Henderson Chauffeured Cadillacs. Bob Bruce's wardrobe is provided by Justers.
Correction, that's the Walker Art Center bookstore today at 1:30. Mary Wilson will be there signing books. Thank you for coming and being with us today. And I hope you'll come back when you write the sequel. Mrs. Powell, thank you. I'll remember the rest of my life how to stand.
You guys really surprised me. I mean, you flew her all the way in here from Detroit, right? That's wonderful. Thank you.
It was great having you with us. Go ahead. You have a question?
Would you consider coming back to Minneapolis and recording with Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam? Seeing how they're so hot right now? Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam, would you consider coming back to Minneapolis and recording with them?
To perform?
Yeah.
I'd love to. Just tell me where I can come perform, get in touch with them, let me do it. Well, let's get some letters written. Let's call out and say we want them. I'll come.
Yeah, I want to ask you about your 3%. I know artists get 3% for recording the record. But what about your